Live from New York, it's the show that's wondering if Aaron Rodgers and Kevin Wildes are actually on vacation together. It's First Things First. J.J. Redick is the new coach of the Lakers. Does that mean he actually is going to get to coach LeBron James? We'll discuss. Also, the latest person to make excuses for Aaron Rodgers is his boss, I guess. We'll get into it. And finally, the Cowboys, famously waiting for more leaves to fall, might be realizing all of the NFL's leaves have fallen except for the ones in the greater Dallas-Fort Worth area. Why haven't the Cowboys paid Dak yet? I am Nick Wright, in for Kevin Wildes, but I'm also always here. Danny Parkins is here as well. Chris Broussard for the Cowboys topic. Danny, look down. Is there an F card by his feet? Do you have the F card ready?
They would get an F for their offseason.
Okay. All right. But we will start somewhere a little more optimistic. Parade day in Boston. That means duck boats, awesome accents, and potentially setting the world record for usage of SPF 100. But before the parade, the Celtics gathered at TD Garden. Jaylen Brown says he doesn't really care what people think about their road to a title. Take a listen.
How could they say that it was an easy road when 9 out of 13 people picked the Dallas Mavericks to beat you guys? I don't understand that.
Make it make sense, Cal.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Make it make sense. You know, I ain't really got a comment. We here.
Well, I'll help you out, Jalen. It actually makes perfect sense. They were saying your road to the finals was easy, which is why they then picked against you in the finals. That's it. I hope that clears it up. However, defending champs since the Steph KD Warriors, not only have none of them repeated, none of them made a finals, none of them have even made a conference finals. So, Brew, do you believe a repeat is on the board for Boston?
It's definitely on the board. I mean, like, possible, and I don't mean in a that sense, but it is absolutely on the board. If people want to have them as the favorites, fine. They should be one of the favorites, there's no doubt. Because, one, when you look at their age, all right, and Tatum is 26, Brown is 27. I mean, they are really maybe just beginning their prime. So you have to look at that. Secondly, the way that, yes, they had the easiest road we can remember to the finals. But still, they dismantled the Mavericks, who had gone through the Western Conference and had a tough road to the finals and beat them in 5.
And if I can add, even though the Mavs were a 5 seed, the Mavs post-trade deadline had the record and the numbers of an elite team. So I don't think it'd be fair for anyone to say their finals matchup was an easy one. They just made it look easy with how well they played.
So there's that, and then they should be better. Now, look, in fairness, I expected this type of leap from Anthony Davis from when he won that championship in the bubble. I said, here, because the monkey's off his back. He is going to be killing the league, and he never really took that step. But I do think Brown and Tatum, just as a team, they should be more confident because you've gotten it done. And there is a monkey off your back to some degree, but at the same time, a nice chip still on the shoulder. Because there are enough doubters and naysayers out there where I don't think they come into next season complacent, feeling like we've answered all the questions. Tatum still has doubters. As a team, they still have doubters. I mean, talking about how easy the road was. And they're a tough matchup, not for everybody in the West. Like OKC getting Caruso yesterday. I thought that was a great move for them. Giddey didn't give them much in the playoffs, so they'll be better. Obviously, Denver, Minnesota, Dallas. I think all those teams will be better, but there's still a tough matchup for Dallas. They're a tough matchup, I think, for Minnesota because Gobert and Towns have to get out on the floor and guard. Now, and Dallas, I said tough matchup for them. Denver would be tough. OKC, I think, matches up well with them. But they've got a chance. I am not picking them to repeat. I think we're in an era where it is parity, and I think the other teams, like I said, are going to get better. So I'm not picking it, but absolutely on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I think great minds here because I'm with you. They deserve to be the favorite, and it's not just Tatum and Brown's age, though obviously as the all-NBA caliber players and the superstars, those are the ones that we should focus on, 26, 27 years old. Derek White, he's not 30. Kristaps, he's not 30. Drew Holiday, he's 34. but he was just second team All-NBA defense, so it's not like his play
and
is sliding.
They believe in him enough they gave him an extension during the year. So Horford's the only one that's an old guy that they restrict his minutes like an old guy, and that the retirement's on the board for. Go ahead.
And I mean, Porzingis only played 57 games in the regular season, so it's in play that they even get more from Porzingis next year. Now, he's been injured throughout his career since early on, but still, there's room for reasonable improvement, and just continuity is an asset. And then I think that second point you made, though, about the matchup. In the West, we talked, Minnesota, they were built to beat Denver, but how would that have worked against this team and that team? Who is Boston not built to beat? Their defense is so good. When you watch them, if you've got 5 guys who play defense and who can switch, and you've got a rim protector, and you can stop guys from penetrating to the paint, which is Drew Holiday's specialty, which is Jaylen Brown's specialty when he's locked in, there's no one that looks at Boston and is like, oh, that's a mismatch. We're going to hunt you. So whoever came out of the West would have a tough matchup with Boston. And then the reason why their finals odds are so low is because do we even have a definitive second-best team in the East?
That's right. That's the Vegas odds. I don't think that Vegas thinks Boston would be a massive favorite over Denver in the finals. But what they're saying is Denver would have so many landmines to get to the finals as we saw this year, and Boston, the East, is riddled with question marks.
I might think it's Milwaukee, Philly, Miami, Indiana, New York.
The Knicks, whomever. I think that's a smart point. I think everything you said was smart except for the very beginning. Did you say great minds? Or you talking about you and Brew? Was that how you?
Yeah, I'm the new guy. I'm just trying to. This is our side of the table.
Don't let him.
All right. So on the board, of course, likely no, and so. Let's just think about why the other teams who didn't repeat. The Raptors throw them out because they're a very unique situation. They didn't repeat because their best player came for a year, won a title, and left. No one thought they would. The Lakers were the favorites the next year, playing like it, top seed, 21-6, suffered an injury that knocked him down in the standings, which gave them a tough first-round matchup. And then in the playoffs, their other guy, Anthony Davis, suffered a different injury. It's like all of a sudden it's over. We all of that period of NBA history, post-bubble, right after it kind of melds together. But the Lakers defended their title excellently for the first half of that season and then fell apart. The Bucks, it was even more stark. The Bucks were the favorites, the defending champs. Giannis was playing as well as ever. They were rolling. And then Chris Middleton got hurt at the very beginning of the playoffs. And despite that, they were still the favorites. They're up 3-2 on Boston, and it's over for them. The Warriors, this would be the old, I think it was Isaiah, who said, I don't know if it was Isaiah Thomas or Pat Riley who said it to Bill Simmons in his book. But the Warriors, I would say, it was the disease of more. There was bitterness, anger about contracts, jealousy, whatever. It manifested in the punch to Jordan Poole. That, I don't think anyone on the Celtics is going to hit somebody, but that is a weird thing that happens when you win a title sometimes, is egos that didn't exist start to exist. And then Denver's the most jarring because no one really saw it coming. I know you picked the Timberwolves to beat them, but over the course of the year, they didn't look vulnerable. In that series, they're up 20 at home in a Game 7, and their title defense ends in a half hour, just out of nowhere. And so that's why I think your point on the era we're in, from 1987 to 2002, that's 16 seasons, every single champion at least repeated, except for one. Duncan's 99 Spurs, who then didn't repeat, but then won 3 more in the next 8 years after that. Every other champion repeated. Since then, the repeat champions are legendary teams, or this is where Kobe deserves a lot of credit. The Lakers with Kobe, Powell, and Bynum, that group, that wasn't a legendary team.
But they all had a legendary player.
A legendary player, and, by the way, maybe the greatest coach of all time's fingerprints are on a lot of those repeats. So I just don't – we were used to, Brew, repeats being commonplace in the NBA, almost standard. It really hasn't been that hasn't been the case in the last, obviously, 6 years.
And I also think this. Look, they should be the favorite in the East. For sure, but it's not going to be easy. I mean, barring injury, and obviously we don't want – the injuries felt like it was more than ever this season. So hopefully the league can get on top of that and players aren't going down. But Milwaukee, and I've had Dame on my butt list yesterday. How do you think he's feeling right now?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's on him, but he should take this personal. Giannis should take this personal. It's been a long time now, it feels like, since Giannis, we thought he was going to take over the league.
But also, Giannis greenlit them moving on from Drew Holiday.
Yes,
and then
so
Drew Holiday might have been the final piece here.
What's Philadelphia going to do?
Well,
there's talk that they've waned on their interest in Paul George, but they should be better. They'll make some moves.
Right now, they have 3 players on their roster, so they're going to
do a lot
know what
they're
they're
a lot
going to
different.
be.
The other thing is, like, you picked Dallas. You picked Dallas?
Yes.
Right? I remember talking to you guys about, like, if we were going to draft players in the finals, we were like, all right, Luka would go 1, but then how many of the next 7 would be on Boston?
It'd be Kyrie and 5 Celtics.
Right. So I'm not saying Boston's a super team or a dynasty or anything like that, but there is something to the 5th starter on their team got all-star votes this year.
Yes.
I mean, Derek White got all-star votes. He made 2nd-team All-NBA defense. This is a very good team. Right. So I definitely think it's not just on the board. They've got a really good shot at repeating.
It feels a lot like Denver, except they don't have the superhuman in Jokic, but they do, I think,
they're not going to be losing critical members.
Well, Denver only lost the 1. You know what I mean? It was just Bruce
Jeff
Brown.
Green.
Oh, Jeff Green, Uncle Jeff.
I mean, not that they were.
Yeah, but they did lose piece of the rotation. All right, so sticking with the NBA for a moment, we will.